doing really well. Sit in particular?
was you when you came up.
Thanks everybody for your patience. A few technical difficulties here. This is our first hybrid school committee meeting. So welcome to the Marshfield School Committee meeting for Tuesday, August 24th, 2021. Mrs. Pazerski, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Greer?
Here.
Ms. Boyd?
Here.
Mr. Campbell? Costello?
Here.
Mrs. Ray?
Here.
And Mrs. Campbell? Mrs. Campbell?
Thank you. Just so everybody's aware, Mrs. Campbell is on Zoom tonight. For those of you who didn't know she was not here. Okay, can you guys all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now can you all please join me in the Peace Builders Pledge. I am a peace builder. I pledge to praise people, to give up put downs, to seek wise people, to notice and speak up about hurts I have caused, to right wrongs, to help others. I will build peace at home, at school, and in my community each day. Under the open meeting law, I am informing the public of this meeting being videotaped by Marshfield Community Television. If anyone in the audience is taping this meeting, either audio or video, please inform us at this time. Can you see that? Yeah. Okay. Now I would like everyone to join us in a moment of silence for Officer Danny Sheehan. Thank you very much. So now we'll move into our informational part of the meeting. First up is Superintendent Granatino.
Sure, thank you. Hopefully everyone can hear us again. We are first time down this road of having a live meeting and a Zoom meeting at the same time, so I'm hopeful that everyone can hear us and see us out there. Just a couple things. First of all, I just want to thank Dr. Martin and Ms. Herstack for leading our new teacher induction program last week. We had over 30 educators who are joining the district this year. It's a pretty big number, but if you remember at this meeting back in late June, we said goodbye to almost 3 dozen educators as well. So we have a lot of new folks on board, and I would have to say, of all the years that we've been hiring folks in the summer, this is probably the best crop of educators I've been able to meet with over a 2-month period of time, and we're really excited, both classroom teachers, aides in the classroom, administrators for the district, just across the board, top-notch people, so we're really excited. And they had 3 days where they were able to hear from folks like Ms. Scalaro, and they were able to hear about safety protocols and about curriculum and about professional development and meet with the union leadership and just get to meet with each other. So it's a pretty intensive program for 3 days, and we do it every summer. And it went really well last year. The highlight is a big bus tour of the town at the end, and they stop at Dairy Queen, where the folks there are very generous and give us some ice cream. So unfortunately, I missed that part. Also, I just want to give a heads up. I sent out a notice, not this morning, yesterday, I can't remember now. But this weekend, this Saturday morning at 6 o'clock, they have the International Overdose Awareness Day, and they have a sunrise service. They've been doing this now for 7 years. They started this my first year. Marshfield Facts, Mary Price and her team, they joined up with the Duxbury Facts Committee, and they put on a sunrise vigil to reflect and think about those that have lost their lives due to overdose. If you've been by Town Hall, you saw on Monday they had flags up. I don't know the exact number, but those purple flags represent those lives lost to overdose here in Massachusetts, and usually it's over 1,000 a year, unfortunately. And so until those flags get down to 0, they're going to be doing as much work as they can through the organization, Marshfield Facts, and pretty much every other community around here that does similar things. But I just want to thank Mary and her team, and the Key Club at the high school do a lot of work setting things up for the flags and for the vigil itself. So that's this Saturday over at Harbor Park at 6 a.m. for those early risers. I want to thank the custodians. Some of them are here tonight. Every summer it's a challenge this year, going back into the school year and then into the summer. They've been working overtime, for 18 months now. And if you've been around the school, some of you might have seen a little bit of the Furnace Brook when we came in today. They look fantastic. High school, middle school, the elementaries, the mentors. They've been working their tails off, and I can't thank them enough. And every year they do it, but every year they deserve a lot of praise because they do tremendous work for the district. And along with them, we were able to celebrate a lot of our year-round support staff, whether it's secretaries, administrative assistants, year-round staff, support staff. We have a little luncheon for them every summer, and we had it last week at the high school in the courtyard. It's a little warm, but it was well worth it. Actually, it was 2 weeks ago, and it's well deserved. They really do so much for us, and we look at and praise what goes on in the classroom, and our educators and what the students do, but the people behind the scenes are the ones that really help make this district work. And all the good things that you see in the classroom, the people behind the scenes helping put that together, and I just want to thank them again. Next week we're opening up. That would be usually the main focus of this meeting. Just briefly, we come in, as you all know, on Monday with staff. That morning we'll kick things off at 8 o'clock at the high school auditorium. Myself and Craig will say a few words. We have a guest speaker who's going to be working with the staff for about an hour and a half. And then working with some of the leadership team. The union folks get to have a chance to meet with their staff and go over things, and then they're back at the buildings. We have lunch, and then they're working in their buildings, getting ready for the opening day, which is Tuesday. Those elementary folks out there, you have your meet and greet that afternoon on the 30th, which is always a fun thing. We started that last year, and it was a big success, and we're excited to do it again. Classes grades 1 through 12 starting up on Tuesday bright and early. Wednesday we'll have the K starting that Tuesday. We also have kindergarten orientation. They'll start up on Wednesday the 1st, and then our preschools will come in after Labor Day on that Tuesday the 7th. And that's what we're here for. We're really excited about that. There's a lot of things I'm going to talk a little bit about later that are going to be built into the start of the year that we're excited for. And I just want to follow up on this Grace moment of silence for Danny. I just want to thank everyone in the community and from all parts of the Commonwealth who came out to show their love and support for Danny Sheehan upon his passing a few weeks ago. There's been so much said, I don't need to add to it, but it is truly amazing to see the outpouring support for Danny, his parents, and their family. Unfortunately, our community is like most others, where we're confronted with the loss of students sometimes and family members during the school year, and it's never easy. But to see how Marshfield steps up and throws their arms out to support those who are grieving is pretty amazing. With that being said, I also want to thank and praise some of our high school students who also, about a week and a half ago, stepped up and planned a walk for one of their classmates, David Moykins. We may remember we had to have a moment of silence for David earlier in the school year, who passed away from cancer in the middle of the school year. But these high schoolers on their own set up a walk, a very impromptu event, and I think there were over 300 people that were there on a very hot Saturday morning at Daniel Webster. We did the turkey trot route, and they raised some money for a scholarship as well as for helping those who are suffering from pediatric cancer. So again, it's just another example of how gracious and kind the people of Marshfield are, and to see that kind of support come out so quickly for David was tremendous, especially on the heels of what the town did for Danny. So I just want to thank everybody, and again, we are fortunate to be here in this community. And finally, I know the main part of this evening is going to be talking about masking and what we're going to be doing in the school year. And I'm sure everyone knows it, but if you didn't and haven't been in front of a TV, DESE, Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, their board voted this morning to afford the commissioner the opportunity, if so chooses, to have a mask mandate. He has not done that yet. I believe it's going to be possibly coming up in the next day or so. But just so we know, we're still obviously here to talk about that, and we've been getting a lot of great input from folks across the community. But I just wanted to let folks know, in case they have not heard, that was voted on by DESE today, and school districts across the state now are going to be dealing with that, the aftermath of that, and how that works in their community. So that's all I have.
Okay, great, thank you.
Excuse me. What I was trying to say was, can you allow the school committee different permissions so they use?
Okay.
I was trying to get his attention.
I apologize.
I was something to ask you. So I apologize.
No problem.
Mr.
addition to Mr. Granatino's comments about the Educator Academy, I just want to publicly thank my administrative assistant. She goes above and beyond for those 3 days, running around like crazy. And I will ditto Mr. Granatino's sentiments about the 30-plus educators. They were just amazing. They were just amazing, and we did a lot of SEL things, community building, getting to know one another, and then also, as he said, some technology training, special education training, evaluation training, a lot of things that all of our new hires need to begin the school year. So it was a great 3 days, busy 3 days, but well worth it. And then just a follow-up, just a major thank you to the United Way and the Boys and Girls Club. We finished our Summer Step Up program for our elementary students. We had over 90 participants in those 4 weeks. And because of the grant that we received, some of our students were able to get transportation to the Boys and Girls Club immediately following the summer learning, and then they were participating in the Boys and Girls Club summer camps free of charge. So it was a great experience for our kids, a great way to transition back to the school year and get them ready for the fall. So just wanted to give an update on that.
That's great, thank you so much. Mrs. Scalaro, do you have an update for us?
Can't hear it. No, this is the microphone. Just turn the microphone on. That's up top. There you go.
I apologize. I do not have any information on items.
Thank you. Mr. Miller does not have any items either. Okay, great, thanks so much. And I just want to remind everybody really quick that this meeting is going on in this room here. The Zoom portion of the meeting is a luxury, and we're not gonna touch that anymore. We're gonna focus on what's going on here, okay? Just to let everybody know. All right, we tried our best, and I'm not sure if it's working. I hope it's working. I apologize if it's not. Next time will be better. So moving on, we are going to move into the public participation part of this meeting. I know that that's part of the reason a lot of you are here tonight. I know that this is a first meeting for a lot of you, so I have some friendly reminders that I'd like everyone to adhere to. Members of the live audience will go first. We will attempt to hear from the members of our Zoom community after, but I'm going to hear from all of you guys first. I respectfully ask that you raise your hand if you would like to speak. I will call on you and you may walk up to the microphone. Each member of the community wishing to speak will have 1 minute and 30 seconds. As a reminder for those of you that have not been here before, when you get up to the microphone, please state your name and your address. Only Marshfield residents are allowed to speak in public comment. Only items that are on the agenda tonight are allowed in public comment. On our agenda are the health and safety protocols, including the mask rules and regulations, and a regional planning committee for discussion in regards to South Shore BOTEC. If you have any questions, you can email the superintendent or any member of our committee. We do not answer questions during public participation. I understand that many of you have a lot of questions and have emailed us and have not yet received a response. I can promise you that I am reading every single email and I will respond to you as soon as humanly possible. Please be respectful in your comments to the committee and to the other people sitting near you. All of our children go to school together or we work together, and I'm confident that we can set a positive example for the kids, especially these ones in the front row right here. In the interest of time, I'm requesting that you hold your applause until the end of someone speaking. And I sincerely appreciate you guys advocating for your children and for yourselves and your families and what you believe is the right thing to do. I have 3 sons of my own and I continually advocate for them. So I really do appreciate it, whatever side of this that you're on, okay? If there's anybody in the public that would like to speak, can you please raise your hand? I'm just gonna stand up, excuse me, so I can see everybody. I'm just gonna start over here to make it easier. Right here in the front row. Yeah, would you like to go first?
Hoping it'd be the 10th.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You're here at school.
All right. My name is Lisa Kyle.
Can we just make sure that that's on?
Yeah, that is on.
It is on. Okay, great.
I'm just so short.
Oh, no, that's okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Lisa Kyle. I live at 5 House Brook in Marshfield. First, I want to say thank you to all these team members of the committee, the teachers, the administrators, the janitors, everybody. Amazing work through a very rough year and a half. So as a parent, I'm very grateful for that. I just really have a couple key points. I think that we have to really weigh the benefit of putting a mask on our child during the school day versus what the risk is. And I have 2 key documents here, and I research this like crazy every day, that basically state there's no statistical evidence or wide range in data to support that masks mandates versus optional masks actually make a difference in terms of transmission amongst children. One is from the CDC, and one is from an article that I read today that came out, which is citing the CDC. It also cites other countries, France, UK, Ireland, somewhere in the Nordics as well too. They're not requiring their children to wear masks because their studies, they've commissioned their own studies, and those studies show that the adverse effects of a mask on a child on a daily basis are greater than the supposed benefit of masking a child. I've traveled many times this year. I've watched adults, even with the quote-unquote medical masks, pull them down, touch their face. They don't understand the proper protocols, and anybody who's a healthcare worker on that panel or in this, in this room understands that there's a protocol for putting a mask on, taking a mask off. So they're actually introducing opportunities for infection, way beyond than I think being able to allow a child to sit in class in a controlled environment. Additionally, I think we all know, based on the data, I'm not going to use the word science because unfortunately that's debatable as well too now, but the data, ultimately shows that the children are not transmitting at the rate that adults are.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry I have to cut you off. Thank you. Last section over here. Okay, you want to come right up?
You asked him not to tap.
Oh.
Mr. Brenner, who's helping us out tonight, asked us to.
Please do not tap the microphone.
Sure,
okay,
no problem.
Thank you.
Hi, Gina Toppy, 15 Whitford Circle. Again, I'd like to mirror what was said earlier. I do thank all of you for all that you have done for our kids in the past year and a half. It has been a long and challenging year. And we are grateful that they were able to get back to school at the end of the year and hopeful that this year will continue the same. I do really believe, and this is really the only thing that I have to say, that our children need to go back to school without masks. If parents would like to have the choice to mask their children, that is their choice. It should be an individual choice, not a state mandate, not a school mandate, and only ours to make. From a social worker standpoint, because that's what I do for a living, I am seeing the ramifications of both our children not being able to go to school, being hybrid, then coming back to school and wearing masks, and social skills are down. They're not able to see their friends smiling. They're not able to hear their friends adequately. Kids are suffering. They need to go back to school, they need to not wear a mask, and they need to be with their friends and play and have a normal childhood, because the adverse side effects are going to go on for years and years and years to come, and we are going to have children who are going to spend a life in therapy because of these masks in school. Thank you.
Do we have anybody else over here on this side? No? Okay, let's move to the middle. Anybody right here?
Hi everyone, Brandon Reardon, I live at 2 California Street. And again, to mirror what many people have said, thank you so much. This is an incredibly challenging time for everyone to go through. And I want to mirror what the two other women said up here earlier, and that I strongly oppose a mask mandate for students in school. I don't even know if it's something the board can decide at this point. It might even be out of your hands, but I figured while we're here, at least you can hear our opinion and make it known so you can understand where we're at. I have 2 children. One is 7 and a half, who's going to be a 2nd grader, hopefully at South River. We're hoping we can still send him there. And a 4-year-old who's due to be at Pudding Hill. And I've seen firsthand with them, and actually I'm a clinical doctorate, I'm a chiropractor by trade, we have a large pediatric practice, and I've seen firsthand in our large pediatric practice the deleterious effects of long-term mask wearing on children when it comes to jaw pain, headaches, TMJ, difficulty concentrating, anxiety, depression, you name it. There's a lot of different issues that are showing up with that. And I think we really need to do a thorough cost-benefit analysis. And unfortunately, we're told things like follow the science, but there really isn't any good science to support mask mandates for children. There is some science to support masking for adults. But when it comes to children, the science really hasn't been done well, and the science that has been done actually shows that mask wearing in children does not reduce transmission and only contributes to more ill effects in their health. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Beth Sombronsky, 115 Gotham Hill Drive. I believe in a free, open society that gives each person the choice to do what is right for them, and in doing this, I feel we should respect each other's values. Our district mission statement states, Marshfield provides a safe, healthy, and collaborative learning environment that fosters respect, responsibility, empowering all to achieve their maximum potential. It's a noble statement, inclusive and considerate. However, it's also a bit insincere given the controversy of general health mandates. The ideals set forth in this honorable statement are currently inconsistent. A safe environment suggests a place where people are free from danger, injury, damage, or hurt. By this definition, informed students and teachers who are disinclined to participate in the so-called health guidelines that place them in potential physical threat and harm are being ostracized. What about a healthy learning environment? Is a healthy learning environment, is it healthy for a child to not have adequate oxygen to breathe? Is it healthy for a child to undergo contact testing that has been proven ineffective and unreliable? Does forcing a child to wear a mask really teach them about living in a free society? Is it healthy that the vaccination that is pushed upon our youth and community the surest way to health? Is it possible to create an environment that fosters respect and responsibility when children and teachers will be unjustly categorized for their moral and religious beliefs? What are we attempting to impart to our children about respect and responsibility if they're made to understand that anything short of conformity and compliance is intolerable? My husband and I were raised in this school system and chose to live in Marshfield because we feel part and parcel to it. As their guardians, I implore all of you to please uphold the values and virtues we were taught about living in a free, open society. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you guys just raise your hands again? I'm sorry, I can't. Ashley, you want to come up?
Ashley McKinnon, 184 Valley Path. Good evening. I stand here before you tonight, tired, sad, angry, beaten down, and upset. 1 year ago, we were in this exact same place. No concrete plans for reopening schools and no communication coming from the school committee or administration. How is it that we have not learned anything from last year's reopening disaster? How is it that we are here once again, unsure of how the school days will go? While I understand that you had to wait for Desi to make their last-minute final decision, I would have hoped that you would have had plans put in place, but I can't hold my breath. Have you even discussed as a school committee and administration what would be needed if Desi put forth a mask mandate? Have you discussed what would be needed should Desi decide to reinstate the distancing protocols? Have you thought about how this would impact the start of school? It was exactly 1 year ago tomorrow that the school committee met and voted to delay the opening of school by 2 weeks. Hearing the decision made this morning is beyond disheartening. While this decision was beyond your control, you all knew that it was coming. I knew it was coming by placing a simple phone call to Desi 10 days ago. And now, here we are, 6 days from the first day of school. Instead of ignoring what we all knew was inevitable, it would have gone a long way to send a simple email communication to the district parents, informing us that you are working behind the scenes, that you are putting plans in place, and those plans will ensure that school starts as scheduled. Instead, we are here 6 days out, left wondering whether school will start next Tuesday. Will the middle school be dismissed hours early? Same with the high school, because there isn't enough room to social distance so that they can eat lunch. Or will it be delayed another 2 weeks as it was last year?
Thank you, Ashley. Your time is up. Come on down.
How you doing? Tim Higgins, 81 Maryland Street. And I'm telling you right now, no, my kids aren't wearing a mask.
Could you please raise your hand if you'd like to speak?
I did.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's hard for me to see. One in the back. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Andrew Taylor. I live at 490 Marine Street. The previous gentleman's comments are spot on. The question I'd like to ask all of you is, what is the plan if kids refuse to wear masks? I have 3 boys in public schools, Marshfield Public Schools, and 2 of the 3 have told me they're not going to wear a mask. They do not want to go to school if they have to wear a mask, that they're done with masks. So my question is, what's the protocol going to be if we have, say, hundreds of kids in Marshfield, if there's a mask mandate, if we have hundreds of kids that refuse to wear masks, where that's going to lead us? My second point is reading the Wicked Local News regarding this Desi decision. I was a little confused. Admittedly, I don't have all the facts, but I saw a headline that said, masks will be required until 80% of students are inoculated. And that begs the question, is this really about wearing masks, or is this about making our kids get inoculated so we can remove the masks?
I see an orange shirt. I'm sorry, the lights are in my face. I'm trying to, yeah, okay. Thank you.
Hi, Alison McCulloch, 121 Somerville Street. I'm just going to stand on my tippy toes. I moved to Marshfield 2 years ago. My husband and I were looking to be in a district with great public schools. I have a mother who's been a special education teacher for 15 years, and aunt who is also a special education teacher. She has been one for over 10 years. Public education is very passionate in my family. But to piggyback on what the last gentleman said, and I understand you can't answer me right now, but it does beg the question, where are you guys going to draw the line in the sand as far as, if we don't want to inoculate our children, Are you going to force us to put masks on their face and have them be ostracized? Have them be medically separated? What's it going to be? Because if you hire teachers and you make plans for the future and all the other things that go along with being a part of the school committee, you know, thinking long term, this is a question that needs to be in your head long term. Because somebody needs to stand against this, because it's not fair. Medical apartheid is not okay. If I want to send my child to public school, I have exemptions that are legally binding to me, that are part of my rights, and if then I use them, my child has to be ostracized and wear a mask. That's ridiculous, and it's completely wrong, and it's discrimination. And for the last, I don't know how many years, election cycles, we've talked so much about discrimination, how it's not okay. It's not okay in any sense, but especially, I mean, in any sense really, but this is part of it. So you can't say you're not for discrimination.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I have to cut you off. Okay, there's somebody here. Bonnie, come on up.
Bonnie McCarthy, 83 Donald Road. In the interest of time, I'll try to make this quick. I just wanted to highlight a different side of this. Not only am I a parent, but I'm also a high school paraprofessional at Pembroke. I was also one in Marshfield for a while. And I saw the ugly flip side of this, wearing masks with some of the students this year. In over 11 years in the school systems, I've never seen such anxiety, anger, and divisiveness in a student population than I did this past year. It was heartbreaking, especially at the high school level, because these kids don't live under a rock. They knew that at their age level, there was a near 100% probability they're going to be fine with this. And it's true statistically across the nation. However, most of them were asymptomatic. They had friends who would come back to school. They were wearing masks. They didn't want to wear them. They looked lightheaded. Their kids looked pale. They were angry. I watched my own son complain nonstop about having trouble breathing and concentrating in school. Mind you, we were in school 2 days a week last year, guys. You're planning on putting these on these students 30 to 40 hours a week, never mind after school activities. And I just think there needs to be a little bit more discussion on what they're doing about lunches. When teachers get breaks, I work in the schools. I'm in there every day. We get to walk away. I'm an adult. If I get tired or get out of breath, I go take a bathroom break. The kids don't have that. Teachers have prep periods. Students don't. I just think, and never mind the personal hygiene, the acne, it's real. I mean, the kids' social emotional health, it's tough. And to not see their friends smile and be upset a lot of the time during the day, it was hard. It was hard to watch.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you.
So Kelly, come on up. I apologize, I know some people's names, not everybody's.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kelly McDonald. I'm from 7 Falcon Close. Just wanted to say to this audience that I 100% agree with everything that people are saying, so I'm not going to repeat what was saying. Quickly, shout out just to say, you are my therapy. You guys are all my rock. You're keeping me sane, so thank you so much. I really appreciate it. To everyone here, I just want to give more of a personal story from my perspective. With my son, he has social pragmatic disorder and really struggles with wearing masks and being able to understand like whether his friends are if they're smiling or if they're sad without a mask on. So this is extremely difficult on kids who have those issues. Number two. My son has been a competitive swimmer since he's been 6 years old. So competitive that he was on New England and pre-Olympic track. He has, because of wearing masks and because of the stress of it, he quit swimming. He quit swimming in February. He joined the football team. We're having a great time with it, but I do want to say that he was diagnosed as well with sports induced exercise asthma. He's never had this problem swimming 6 days a week over the past 7 years. And ever since he's left school in June and has been doing his sports all summer, all of a sudden that asthma is gone. Never needs an inhaler. He's out in the football team right now for MHS doing 2-hour lifts in the morning, 4-hour practices in the afternoon, not one breathing issue. And I can tell you right now, if he walks into that school and starts to have these same issues, you guys are definitely gonna hear about it. I know it's not your problem, but I'm asking you, get together with other school committees, other administrations across the state, use your voice as a collection and help us here. Do not let one person in the state make the rules.
That's right, Ryan.
Ryan Ogue, 210 Quail Run. I agree with pretty much everything that's been said so far. I wish I had written something down. I'd like to say I'm a public safety officer in a large city in Boston. Worked through this whole thing, was scared of it like everyone was. Scared of it, worked through it. But like everyone, we watched it evolve around us, and us on the front lines quickly became unafraid. So then I became unafraid for my children. I'm also a coach of multiple sports. I watch children suffer, kids with asthma on benches wearing masks, under their masks, coming off their field of play, whether it be the ice or anything, suffering to breathe. At what point? All we want is our own parental choice. Parental choice. These are my kids, not the state's. They're healthy. They don't have anything else going on. Masks. They suffered in masks. Masks made them miserable. They do not want to go back to school in masks. And now the state is going to mandate that on us a week before school starts. I'm disappointed that some of you haven't shown us truly where you stand. You've had an opportunity and a voice to do something. Stand up for just parental choice. If people want their kids to wear a mask, that's their choice. Which should be my choice for my kids and everyone else here's choice for their kids if they want to wear them. On a field, in a school, at home, anywhere. Just like it's your choice to wear it when you go into Roach Brothers. It's, when is it gonna, it's never gonna be enough, and that's what we're seeing, and that's where people have had it. And you're gonna lose students.
Hi, Elise Ireland, 323 Parsonage Street. I just want to piggyback off what they said, not related to asthma, but I have a 5-year-old going into kindergarten who wears glasses. He has vision issues. He sees an ophthalmologist monthly. Thinking about him going into kindergarten for his first year of school and just acclimating to a learning environment is scary enough for a mother. But thinking about him sitting there in a mask for 8 hours a day is infuriating, to be honest. I'm not surprised by what came out today in Massachusetts, but I think about it, it's like, what are my options, right? Do I keep him home and not send him to kindergarten? Do I homeschool him? Do I move to another state? What are my options here? It's infuriating as a mother to watch what's going on, and I haven't even been here last year like most of these other parents have. To think about what the future's gonna hold, and the fact that we don't know, is something I implore all of you to stop thinking about.
Hi, my name is Tina Shea. I live at 566 Careswell Street. I just curious where all your masks are tonight. 6 days, our children are going to
I have to stop you for a second. I'm sorry, I'm not allowing screaming in the audience. If you do that again, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. You can continue.
Just lost my train of thought. In 6 days, our children are expected to sit side by side with masks, yet nobody here was required to. I homeschooled my son last year, kindergarten, because I refused to put a mask on. He's 6 years old, he has sleep apnea, and I refuse to put a mask on him. I haven't enrolled him in school, and it starts in 6 days, because I'm not confident that you can keep my child safe. All we're asking for here is parental choice. And I think more than just masks, 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 masks. We want freedom. What is next? There are people hanging onto planes in other countries to come here for the freedoms that we have. I ask that you stand up for our children with the same conviction. And I too say no to masks.
Is there anybody else in the middle here? Come on up.
My name is David Gina, 3 Phillips Farm Road. I want to support my 2 bald friends and say I too will not be masking my kid in the fall. I really like facts. 292 kids throughout the country since the start of this COVID situation have actually passed away from COVID. 292 millions have gotten it, most, like it's already been mentioned, have been asymptomatic. It's 99.99% survivable. This really is a Trojan horse situation with the mask to bring in a vaccination mandate. And I question this. We're trying to resist the mask situation, which seems to be a foregone conclusion. But really, it's just wrong. It's wrong. It's an overstep and an overreach into parental rights, and it's just not supported with science. We've already mentioned the mask situation is not supported with science. It's very frustrating to piggyback on what's already been mentioned. 292 out of 5 to 18-year-olds did pass. Most had things like leukemia. Beyond that, what's the number 1, 2, or 3 situation for actual death for several years in this country is suicide. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the middle section here? Okay, over on this side. Eric, come on up.
I, as a parent, do not support the full masking of our students.
Excuse me, Eric, can you please just
Excuse
state
me,
your name?
Eric Kelly, Peterson, Bath.
Thank you.
The science tells us that our children are least susceptible to the China virus. The science tells us that wearing a mask will not prevent infection of the China virus. Commissioner Riley commented it would last to October 1st, and at the point unvaccinated students and staff can remove their masks as long as the entire school building has a vaccination rate of 80%. Riley said having a universal mandate in place will provide an incentive for more people to get vaccinated and ensure a smooth and safe reopening. It is clearly shown through Commissioner Riley's reported comments that this is not about safety of the children who are least affected by this virus, but all has to do with putting pressure on the children over time to get the shot they do not need. It has been reported by Governor Baker would like to set up vaccination sites in the schools. This shows just how determined the government, the leadership of the teachers union, are out to harm our children with a vaccine that has not had years of research. These vaccines are not effective, as clearly shown in regards to people catching COVID, being hospitalized with COVID, and even dying of COVID after being fully vaccinated. Our children should not be used like human guinea pigs to benefit the executives of these pharmaceutical companies, the stock market, and the bloated pension that this state hands out and will be handed out in the future. It appears that money and greed is the driving force behind all this, and the decision makers, like yourselves, are willing to sacrifice our children and maybe your own in the name of greed. Commissioner Riley and the Board of Education are not elected by the citizens of Massachusetts. They are puppets to give cover to our elected officials of the state legislature and to local school committees like yourselves. What is the possible penalty for not following the DESE unlawful mandate? It is Chapter 69, Section 1B. I would challenge DESE to withhold funding and to refer matter to AG Martin Haley for non-compliance on this matter. I reviewed the educational laws and requirements and could not find anything in there that supports the mandate for Commissioner Riley. I even went as far to email DESE this past Sunday in regards to this matter, and I have yet to hear back. One thing I wanted for both sides of this matter was something in the middle we can agree on. If the parents are not happy with how the school committee addresses this matter, and the town bylaws have a recall section for elected officials, why wait till next year when we can address it now?
Your time is up.
As well, consider a final suit. Thank you.
Do we have anybody else over here that would like to speak? Oh, come on up.
My name is Garrett Wilkinson. I live on 914 Lane, and I am not wearing a mask.
Do we have anybody else? Come on up.
Thank you, school committee. And
Just remember to state your name and your address, please.
hi, my name is Lisa Swain. I'm at Bradford Street, Marshfield. I want to thank you first for serving on the committee and representing our children. We really appreciate your time in advocating for them. That being said, you're our children's last line of defense against all of this and their voice. And our interest should always be the same, what is best for the children in their educational environment. A mask choice option is what is best for all the children. I believe we all enjoyed our mask-free summer and the interactions with family and friends. Seeing their smiling faces, hearing their laughter, it all meant so much, psychologically, more than we know. But these precious, valuable human traits seem to get lost in the mask analysis. Masks take away that joy, it's true. At this point, we all know the science indicates our children are literally at 0.003% risk of getting ill, if at all, from COVID. The science backs this up. And our own Marshfield pediatrician firmly believes there should be no masks on children of any kind for any reason. The children are simply not at risk, but putting a mask on them makes them feel like they are. They literally feel like they're in danger. The science is also on the health of masks in children. They're not safe, they're unsanitary, and they cause more harm than good. I refer to the JAMA article dated June 30th of this year. Out of 45 school children tested aged 6 to 17, 100% of the children reached 4 times the OSHA permissible level of carbon dioxide exposure. And the highest was among the youngest children. It's toxic for them. It's toxic for their long-term health. It traps in the bad air, and they breathe it right back in. Truthfully, how good is it to go outside and breathe a breath of fresh air without a mask on? We can all agree on that. I challenge any of you to take your child's mask to a lab for analysis. Have them swab it on a culture tray and see what grows. Understand that those toxins are being breathed right back in. It's a long-term health
Thank you very much. Do we have any other members of our live audience that would like to speak? Sure. Well, I'll take the front row first. Come on up.
I refuse to wear masks to school this year.
There was somebody just right here with their hand up. Oh, come on up. I'm actually going to do a last call for anybody in here. Can you put your hand up now if you'd like to speak? Somebody in the middle? Okay. And you can be last. Anybody else? Is there someone else over here? Okay. Okay, great. And, okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, and that's it. Are you raising your hand? Maybe. Okay, we have a maybe in the middle. Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Chris Looney, 52 Carolina Trail. So just kind of a final thing. I mean, I agree with everybody. You know, obviously, we all respect all of you. Nobody signs up for a school committee thinking that all of this is going to unfold, I'm sure. Okay, none of us want your job, but none of us want an outbreak either. Just because everybody here seems to agree that we don't want our kids to wear masks doesn't mean that we don't care if the cases spike. I think one thing that is important to recognize is these kids have been together all summer long, all spring, all year really, okay? They only wore masks in school. The parties have been going on, the get-togethers. I mean, the indoor sporting arenas all summer long have been jammed, okay? In Hanover and Pembroke, kids are sweating and spitting all over each other, right? It's a fact. And have we heard of any super spreader event? No, we have not. We all are sitting here saying, why is the school committee not wearing masks? Because you don't need to. Mom and dad are vaccinated. Grandma and grandpa are vaccinated. If some of these kids end up with a little COVID, half of them probably already had it anyways, okay? If they don't wear masks, maybe we might have a chance to get back to teaching and learning. I'm lucky, I have 2 kids that do very well in school, but if I go home and ask them right now, they will tell me the same thing they told me all along. We were not taught anything last year, okay? We taught ourselves. It was all put out there, and they did it themselves.
Thank you very much. I just want to remind everybody to please respect the person that's up at the microphone and let them finish speaking before you applaud.
How you doing? My name's Scott Swain, 21 Bradford Street. I'm from Mass Choice. Masks must be a choice. The science backs that up. Those who feel safer with masks have the choice to wear them, and all who wanted the vaccine or want to wear masks does have a choice to wear them and get it. All are satisfied in this option. This is the only fair solution, the only option we'll accept. If you insist on masking our children, we will pull our children from school. I have made other options and have research, educational options, and have applications ready. At the beginning of this meeting, you guys offered us the Peace Builder Pledge. To notice and speak up hurts that caused and to right wrongs. You guys have put masks on children far too long. For us, for our safety, the parents' safety, the grandparents' safety, not the kids' safety. There will be long-term effects of them not getting the oxygen. I've gone to sporting events where my child can't throw a soccer ball into the field, then goes and plays basketball on the court. So tell me, where's the science for that? Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Traynor. I was an educator at Marshfield High School for 24 years. I was very proud of my profession, speaking as you do, caring about the children of Marshfield. I have friends who live down south. Their children have been going to school now for over 3 weeks. Despite what these people are saying, the outbreaks are real. The children aren't wearing masks because, as we know, many of the southern states do not support that. We are an intelligent group of people here in Marshfield. No one wants to wear a mask. I didn't get up this morning and say, hooray, yay, I'm gonna go through my mask collection just so I can wear a mask. I don't like to see my grandchildren or the children wearing masks, but I also don't want to see them getting sick. I like to think that I'm on the side of intelligence and knowledge and education. The children will be fine. I know you all disagree with me. I have a point too. I don't want to see these children getting sick. I know it's very real. You've got all your data. I have data too. And I think that the children should be wearing masks. I think it's the only responsible thing. As a teacher, in loco parentis, that meant that I was in the place of a parent. There were many times that I had to value their safety above everything else. That's what the school committee has been charged to do. That's what the State Board of Education has been charged to do. I support you, I support the Board of Education in the decision to have our children wear masks. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, okay, yep. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Deanne Kavanaugh. I live at 9 Anderson Drive. I have a 13-year-old that's going into 8th grade. And I find in my son a lot of confusion about this mask, lack of direction from the summer not wearing them to wearing them all year. So he's at a point where he doesn't think I know what I'm talking about. And I'm afraid of the psychological effects of the kids long term. And I'm asking you all to look in your heart to your own kids and your grandkids and think about the damage that's being done to them to this day, and do what you can to do the right thing. And that's what I'm asking of all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're all, oh. Did you raise your hand when I asked for last call? No, what about our maybe? This was the, Are you gonna pass your maybe to her? Okay. This is our last one. Thank you.
My name is McCarthy. I live at 3 Phillips Farm Road. And if I want to wear a mask, I can, but you can't force me to wear one.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm hoping that everyone on Zoom can hear me. Kendra, yes? Okay, thumbs up, great, awesome, thanks so much. Okay, so what we're gonna do with this Zoom portion is if you would like to speak, can you please use the raise your hand feature on Zoom? I'm gonna give this a few minutes to give you guys a chance here. Sheets and... Kendra, can you hear me? Yes, I can. I can hear him. Well, they're not gonna be able to hear. Yep. Okay, thank you, and that's going to be the same opposite now. The people in the live audience are most likely not going to be able to hear very well with the Zoom, but the committee needs to be able to hear. So.
Kendra, can you talk?
Sorry about that, folks. So I'm just going to try one more time here to see if folks at home can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, so to add it, if you would like to, and I'm speaking from the right here, I apologize, but if you'd like to say your public comments, you can hit the hand paddle sign, and we'll call on you.
So we're gonna have to share this computer.
I see Ms. Mark.
Okay.
Yes, you are.
Appreciate this opportunity to participate. I have listened to all the parents who've spoken and other community members. The concern about masks is shared by our educators as well as parents. It's almost a 50-50 split among the members that participated in the poll that the Marshfield Education Association sent out to all our members, including the teachers, the ESP, secretaries, tutors, and assistant principals. That was prior to the announcement at the Board of Education today. So what I'm saying is as much a personal opinion rather than representing 100% of my members, because this is obviously an area that's concerning to all of us. My concern is about the safety and the least disruptive environment that we can provide for our students moving forward this school year. Without masks, we're going to have children who have to be out of school because they've been exposed. We'll have teachers who will be out of school because they've been exposed and or get ill. We cannot teach your children if they're not in the classroom in front of us. We cannot teach if we can't be in the classroom with our students. I understand that people feel they should have the choice of whether or not to have their children masked. The problem is that the masks mainly prevent you from spreading it. And that's what the protection it offers. So if you choose not to wear a mask, even if a student or a child or a teacher wears a mask because they are vulnerable, they can still, their level of danger is heightened by those students who are not wearing masks. I am extremely proud of the students of Marshfield school system because I can think of almost zero problems with students last year during the school year about wearing the masks. We have learned.
Mrs. Marple. Sally. Can you hear me? I'm sorry, it's Laura. I have to cut you off because I need to allow the same amount of time for the public that I allowed for you. So thank you very much for your comments. So do we have any other members of the Zoom world here that would like to speak in public comment? If you, oh, okay, we have a couple here. Oh, yeah, that's the same one. Okay. Carol, we're going to ask you to unmute, if you could please unmute yourself. I can you please state your name and address, please?
This is Carol McCoy. I'm at 311 Pine Street. I'm speaking as a citizen of the community and a grandma and a worker in the healthcare setting. I particularly align with all that was said in the prior speaker. Our goal is to send our children to school and keep them in school and have them be successful in school. And I can for sure align with the issue of even the medical blue masks do not protect anyone from the SARS virus. They only prevent the person wearing the mask from getting somebody else sick. There's a little bit of protection, but in a healthcare setting, if you go into a room where there's a known RSV or the coronavirus, it's an N95 mask, and it's a face mask for eyeballs around your eyes. So for everyone, I can hear the tone of what the parents are saying out there, but I have to align with what is in the best interest of public safety, and I offer my support in the name of public safety.
Thank you very much.
Policy.
I'm going to last call for anyone on Zoom that would like to speak in public comment. I don't see any hands raised. Okay. All right, public comment is over. We are now going to move on to our new business, which is the face covering presentation and expectations for the return to school. I'll turn it over to Mr. Granatino.
Okay, first and foremost, I'm going to try to first share this with everybody, so give me a second. Should be able to do this. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. Better. I'll move this. All right. Everyone should be able to see on Zoom as well as up behind me, okay? First and foremost, before we get going, thank you so much for being this here tonight and for sharing your thoughts. I want to speak to the community, but I'm sure they appreciate it as well. And for the folks that have been reaching out to us over the last 2 weeks when we set up that mask update site. I have a slide up here that gives you some of those numbers, but you know, over 400 people took the time to write to us and share their thoughts on both sides of the matter, and I really appreciate that, and it does help inform our decision making as best we can when we have decisions to make. And obviously today's decision kind of changed the tenor of things, but we still want to talk about this. Some of these things that we were going to be presenting, we would have been talking about whether today happened or not. And again, we haven't had anything other than the vote of DESI. The commissioner has not made any final decisions, and those will be probably tomorrow. But for right now, I'm just going to go over some things here and kind of give you an idea of what we have in place, what we can do, when we can do to open the schools next week, and we will be opening the schools next week, and we will have folks in classrooms and in the cafeterias and on the buses and playing sports and all those things that we should be focusing on. The fact that you folks had to focus on these things the last couple of weeks, as well as us, since July 30th, it's been kind of a tailspin for everybody trying to get their hands around how best to make decisions on behalf of our students and our staff. But we will make those decisions, and we will put the best product in place for our kids. So I'm just going to go through a couple things. First of all, the goals here are to keep our students, our MPSD students, your children, staff, and families safe. We want to continue to provide the best educational, social, emotional environment that we can for our educational stakeholders. That's our students, our teachers, our aides, our families. We want to take the steps necessary to meet the requirement of full in-person instruction at all levels. We do not want to go back to remote. We do not want to have hybrid. We want our students in class 5 days a week. That's what we were told at the end of May and into June with some of the early decisions by DESE, and that's what we've been planning on all summer long. We're in this place, and again, I'm not going to harp on the numbers, but we're in this place because there's been a pandemic, the likes of which we haven't seen in over 100 years. And I'm not going to go through all the numbers there, but we have worldwide impact of COVID, nationwide, statewide, here in Marshfield, the number of cases, and again, from mid-April to the end of the school year, our numbers were fantastic, and that's when we brought everybody back fully in person. We were thrilled with that. The number of cases we had as a district, that's for students and for staff, were just under 400. But again, over the last month, I don't have exact numbers in front of me right now, but they were minimal compared to where we were earlier in the year. The one thing that was worrisome, and it's been brought up a couple times here already, is when we do have to quarantine students, and we did see from February through the end of the school year a large number of people that we had to quarantine as being close contacts, and we're trying to avoid that, and I think there's some safeguards in place, even if they were masked. I think there's some safeguards in place that will allow us to have to quarantine fewer students and fewer staff. But we had almost 1,800 cases where we had to quarantine folks, and we do not want to have to go down that path again. Here in Marshfield, the board information the other day, and again, these are not through the roof numbers, but it is a bit of a shift, and this is what's causing some concern in the community. August 1 through the 14th, there were a total of 48 cases in Marshfield. 16 of those 48 cases were children, 0 to 19 years old, which is different than what we saw last year, early in the school year. And the numbers for those people that were 70 or older, only 4 of those cases. So that's kind of been a shift, and that's what some of the health folks, I'm guessing, are looking at. May 30th to the end of, to the middle of July, only 13 cases in Marshfield, and that's when they kind of let loose with masks and allowed us to enjoy ourselves a little bit more like we'd like to. And there were very few cases, 13 confirmed and probable. From July 18th to just this past week, 86 cases. So it's sixfold the number of cases in that period of time. And during the summertime, 12 of our school stakeholders, either students or staff, were those that were identified as well with COVID, 5 of which were affiliated with the summer school, so it could have been students or staff. Some of the recommendations, and again, we heard the most recent one, and the commissioner gave us a heads up last Friday that they were going to be having this decision coming down, or having this proposal brought to the Board of Education Tuesday, and they made their vote. But prior to that, we've had a series of recommendations from DESE and from DPH. Again, back in May, we talked about this in our June school committee meetings. DESE and DPH are going to lift all health and safety requirements for the fall. They required all districts to be fully in person, 5 days a week, removing options for remote learning. So that's what we were planning on throughout the summer. That's what we were given as a kind of a message from DESE. In June, they again reaffirmed that they were lifting the mask requirements for summer programming, or they made it optional. We chose obviously to go with the option, and some students and staff chose to wear masks and some did not. And that's when they initially issued mask advisories, strongly recommending vaccinated students and staff to wear these masks indoors. Then in July, DESE came out with the guidance strongly recommending masks for all students K to 6, and for unvaccinated staff and students grades 7 through 12, and mandates masks on school buses and the nurse stations. That was July 30th, and that's when things started changing, and we had to make some some plans, change our plans accordingly based on what they were talking about on July 30th. Then today, the 24th, Board of Elementary and Secondary Education held a special meeting. Commissioner Riley recommended that the board declare exigent circumstances, as you know, with student learning time regulations, and asked to be given the authority to issue a mask mandate for the public school students ages 5 and above, and staff in all grades through at least October 1st, 2021. Bessie, the Board of Education, voted 9-1 to grant this authority. Commissioner Riley will officially issue the mandate on Wednesday, at least that's what's been reported, and at that time the mask rules will go into effect. Additional information is being sent to districts to help in this transition to the new protocol. So right now, the districts have received no information on what this mandate is going to look like. We have an idea, and obviously many of the things that we've been planning for the summer, over the summer, are going to be part of this. We know that, and so we've already made plans accordingly, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot more information that will be coming out when the mandate is issued by the Commission. What this means is, as of tomorrow's mandate, if it occurs, all students age 5 and older and staff in Massachusetts Public Schools will have to wear masks. Masks will be worn, need to be worn on buses and in vans. That's not a state mandate, that's a federal mandate. This mandate will be in place at a minimum for the month of September and will be revisited by the Commissioner on October 1st. Masks do not need to be worn during lunch or anytime students or staff are outside of the school, recess, gym class, mask breaks, outdoor activities. The mask mandate would include an appropriate exemption for individuals who cannot wear a mask for medical or behavioral reasons with appropriate documentation from physicians. And again, this is the type of stuff that we'll probably be getting more information on from the Commissioner's office tomorrow or by the end of the week. Distancing. This is a big thing that, really hamstrung the schools last year, and when we were looking at having to have lunch all over the place and having multiple lunches or going outside or having grab and goes. Per the May guidance handed down by DESE, and again, this has not changed, there are no physical distancing requirements in place this year, even during meals. However, we are recommending that districts and schools encourage individuals to distance as feasible when masks are removed indoors during meal times. Schools are also encouraged to continue utilizing outdoor space for meals as feasible. We're doing it. We're looking at our distancing again. We're looking to have kids back in normal arrangements, but when there's going to be a possibility to distance to make it a little easier so we don't have to quarantine or contact trace when masks are off, we're going to do that. And the follow-up guidance provided by DESE for districts and schools for the fall of 2021, they did note that schools where not everyone is fully vaccinated should implement physical distancing to the extent possible within the instructions, but should not exclude students from in-person learning to keep a minimum distance requirement. So again, they're not saying that you have to do things that are going to keep kids out of the classroom or have to drastically change the setup within the classrooms or within lunchrooms. We do plan on utilizing outdoor space when possible, as we did last year, and we will do all we can to implement appropriate distancing within the building when feasible. And our principals have been working on this. Close contact tracing and quarantine. Close contacts are still defined as individuals who have been within 6 feet of a COVID-19 positive individual while indoors for at least 15 minutes during a 24-hour period. This definition has not changed. The infectious period is 48 hours prior to symptoms or prior to the test date if there are no symptoms. For the DPH, again, because the questions come up a bunch of times, do we have to do this? Per the DPH, notifying local boards of health, school nurses must notify the local boards of health of every confirmed case of COVID-19 diagnosed in the school community. Most of the time they know that and they're telling us, but sometimes these cases come to us when they're identified with symptomatic children in the building. If the school nurse has not already been notified as such by the local board of health, parent report of the laboratory confirmed case to the school nurse is sufficient for the local board of health notification as well as the provider diagnosed presumed positive case. This information will assist with conducting contact tracing and determining whether changes in the educational models are warranted. So when we have the information, we act on it to try to hopefully reduce the amount of people that we have to quarantine or have to have testing to make sure that they're okay. To assist in this work, the district will be looking to use some ESSER 3 funding. We've received grant monies, as we've talked about at previous meetings, to a pretty substantial sum to go towards offsetting costs for things that are related to COVID, and we'll be using some of that money to increase nursing coverage to assist us in this matter. Exemptions from testing and quarantine, and this is where it's a little different than last year. There are groups now that will be not have to be quarantined or at least close contact traced the way they were last year. Asymptomatic, fully vaccinated, close contacts. Individuals who are asymptomatic, showing no symptoms, and fully vaccinated are exempt from testing and quarantine response protocols. Classroom close contact. An individual who is exposed to COVID-19 positive individual in the classroom, while both individuals were masked, so long as the individuals were spread at least 3 feet apart, is exempt from testing and quarantine response protocols. Bus close contacts. This is a big change from last year. Individuals on buses must be masked according to federal requirements. As such, though, individuals who are masked on buses when windows are open are exempt from testing and quarantine protocols. So we don't have to have distance requirements, we don't have to have assigned seats on buses. As long as the masks are on, the windows are open, they will not have to be close contact traced. In addition, when students are masked, they will not have to have assigned seats, as I said. And then finally, close contacts who have had COVID-19 within the past 90 days. This is no different. An individual who has been previously diagnosed with COVID-19 and then became a close contact of someone with COVID-19 is exempt from testing and quarantine response protocols if the exposure occurred within 90 days of the onset of their own illness and the exposed individual is recovered and remains without COVID-19 symptoms. So that we had that in place last year as well. Expectations for work in quarantine. This is one area that there's a lot of questions right now. Our protocols that we had in place at the end of the year, people had to be out for quarantine or isolation. Their work is going to be sent home, provided by a canvas. There may be possible check-ins during the day with teachers. We had a lot of teachers doing more than a little check-in during the day. With a full class of students, it'll be challenging to effectively teach those students and instruct students via Zoom. So right now, we're not going to be Zooming in. And again, the state's protocol is for all fully in-person instruction, but we will look at times where Zooming and having some type of contact with the students and the staff using this format as we did last spring. With few exceptions, as determined by the classroom teacher, live Zooming in the classroom will not be an option. And districts no longer are allowed to provide remote learning. Again, these are DESE guidelines, but I'm guessing we're going to get some more input from them in the next day or two. And we will continue to assess this model and look for ways to best address the needs of the students. If this isn't working, then we'll be looking to make some changes. Additional protocols, ventilation, the filters in all of our HVAC units and roof units have been replaced and will continue to be monitored. We change them a couple times a year. Additional portable classroom air filters were also added. We got 33 portable filters last year, air filters from the state, and we're purchasing 30 more, and they should be coming in pretty soon. Hand washing protocols will still be in place. We'll have plenty of sanitizer around the buildings. And the stay-home protocols, as far as when folks, or students or staff, are encouraged to stay home when sick or showing any of the COVID-19 symptoms that we've seen in the past. Testing options, this is one thing that we have to finalize. We've submitted our name into DESE. They have been promoting a variety of different protocols for testing. The test and state protocol is one that on the surface sounds great. If you're a close contact and you can test and show that you're not symptomatic and you don't have COVID 7 days in a row, you don't have to do anything, you can stay in the building. But as you can imagine, having to test 7 days in a row is a tax on the students. It's also a challenge for our nursing staff to do that in the building. So we're looking at that, as well as the Binex Now, which is the quick test that we've used ourselves in the past, both for our symptomatic close contacts or symptomatic individuals. This is something that our nursing team is more familiar with. It's something that also the school physician feels may be better than the test and state protocols, because we could be having people that are carrying something coming back into the building to test, and that's something that's not completely up to where we would like to see. But we have put in to be able to do any and all of this type of testing with the state. When we hear from them, we will be rolling out the information to the folks, so you'll know exactly what testing options will be available. And again, if they don't want to test, they don't have to test. But if they're close contact, that might mean they do have to quarantine.
Girls, please. I'm sorry, I don't know which child it is, but I'm having a really hard time hearing the superintendent.
I'll also raise my voice. Let me move the microphone closer to me. I apologize. This might help.
I don't mean to be rude, I just couldn't
Okay.
hear, so.
Some keys to remember. Again, right now, if this takes place tomorrow, we were looking at masks for everyone when in school, currently for the month of September, revisited by testing on October 1. And as of right now, the protocol that they've talked about is that if a district, not just students, but if the building itself, students and staff, reach a certain vaccination level, then that might be the metric that they decide is the way to move off the masks. But that has not been finalized yet. There is no remote or hybrid option. Full-time in-person instruction 5 days a week was what they said we had to do back in May, and that's still the mandate from the state. masking on all buses and vans, no masks during lunch. Seats will be assigned to lunch just because we will have to contact trace with the masks off. We are going to do everything we can to keep folks as far apart as possible, but again, we're not trying to upset the apple cart as we did last year. No masks when the students and staff were outside, recess, phys ed, other outside learning activities, mask breaks. No distancing requirements, again, I'm being repetitive, but I just want to hit on the key points. The school should try and provide appropriate distancing when feasible, 3 feet in the classroom and 6 feet during lunch is what we're going to strive for. But again, the state has said that's not a mandate. Visitors and volunteers will be allowed in school, obviously adhering to the same protocols that will be in place for our students and staff. No contact tracing needed on buses, no assigned seatings on buses. When masked and 3 feet apart, no contact tracing in school. And then the testing opportunities, again, will be finalized with the school nurses and the school physician. Other keys, sports are up and running. You've seen if you have kids who are playing fall sports, some of you mentioned fall sports. There's no masking when teams go outside. We are awaiting final word on protocols for sports and practicing indoors, or any other modifications either from the MIAA or DESE. I think MIAA is waiting to see what the Board of Education was going to do. So if there's any changes to protocols inside buildings, and again, most of our sports in the fall are outside, but we do have some inside sports. We have games inside as well as practicing inside, so we need to get word, hopefully from DESE and MIAA on that immediately. Field trips right now are being planned. We are allowing field trips. Obviously, there's a bus or a van taking them to the field trip. They're going to have to wear their masks, but that's something that we're really excited about. Currently, no restrictions on band or chorus, clubs, or other indoor activities. Schools are encouraged to maintain distance between individuals as feasible, use outdoor space, but again, no restrictions that have been brought to our attention. So we're planning on having all of those things going on in the classroom. Cleaning protocols will continue. The successful practices that we had last year will continue with. We might not have to do that deep clean on a Wednesday, but the custodial staff, as I mentioned before, have gotten really good at making sure those buildings are ready for our students and staff. Mask breaks will continue to take place at all levels. PPE equipment, we will continue to have masks available for any student, staff, or visitor who wants or needs them. We'll also have hand sanitizer available outside and inside the classrooms. Nursing stations, we will continue to have regular nurse rooms, but also COVID waiting areas. Anyone in those areas will have to be wearing masks. And I think those are the main key kind of issues to remember. But I want to touch on the public comment again. We've had calls, we've had emails. Even before we set up that specific email, we did receive a bunch of correspondence from folks on both sides of the issue. And we've consistently sought those public comments on the matter. And we know that it impacts not just the schools, but the entire town. Through the mask update website, we received, as of noon today, and I know we received a few more between noon and the meeting start, but I couldn't get to those in the afternoon. We received 424 emails from students, parents, guardians, and staff. 52% were opposed to mandatory masking, with about 48% in support of such masking. We had about 20 or so that were just kind of informational in nature and didn't really specify one side or the other. We also received feedback from the school district school physician, the Marshfield Board of Health, as well as our own district nurse leader. And Marshfield, like every other community in the Commonwealth, feels very strongly about this issue, and your thoughts and ideas have been heard, they've been shared. I send the group emails to the school committee 5 different times during the last 2 weeks to kind of break up the emails so they weren't getting 400 at once, but they were getting them and they were able to hear exactly what you folks were sharing with us. More importantly now, moving forward, regardless of where we are tomorrow, we know that we're starting on August 30th, and we want to be celebrating being together. We want to, as our motto, and we have some things built around this, but better together is where we're focused, and it's really important because being apart, being hybrid, being with only half the kids together was not a traditional school year, and we know that. We have a kind of a social emotional program called Start with Hello. This is year 3 of that. We have a couple different events that will be going on throughout the first week or so, first 2 weeks. We have the Just Say Hello program at all our schools between September 1st and September 7th. We have Welcome Back Wednesday after Labor Day, greeting students at the door. We have Attitudes of Gratitude, which was a great thing last year. On Thursday of that first whole week, creating a culture of gratitude with our students and staff. Marshfield Spirit Day on the 10th, and First Responder Night that night, which was a great event. We weren't able to have last year, and we're excited to be able to have that back. We have a lot of planned social, emotional, mental health, professional development throughout the year for our staff. We're revising our social, emotional business statement, and those will be shared with various stakeholder groups throughout the year. We're implementing common district practices, elementary themes, all related to SEL competencies, using the same vocabulary, the same schedule. Social, emotional, and mental health will be a standing agenda on my leadership team meetings, because we know, and you've focused on a lot of those matters, not just the reading, writing, and arithmetic, but how your students feel, how your children feel, and we understand that, and that's why it's a big focus for us. We're looking at using a use of 3 signature practices that can be used in meetings and classrooms across the district. Continuing on this theme, getting back to small group instruction. You weren't able to see a lot of that in the classroom last year. We had to keep kids separate. We're looking to have more of that small group instruction, the ability to have partners and group work in classrooms, using outdoor spaces for learning, implementation of innovative practices to incorporate more ways to collaborate and communicate, more lab work at the upper levels. Effective School Solutions is a group that we're bringing in on a grant that Ms. Scalaro is able to secure, and they're going to be contracting with the district to help provide therapeutic mental health services for our students and enhance educator strategies in identifying these challenges as they arise in the classroom and what to do. So we're excited about that. Continuing to work with the district in building social emotional teams and adding questions for building visits when myself and Dr. Martin go and visit classrooms to make sure that there's a focus on SEL activities throughout the district. At the end of the day, this is a message that was shared with a gentleman who spoke to a bunch of area superintendents and assistant superintendents earlier in the summer as people were planning to come back to school, whether or not there were mandates or not. This is early in the process, but to try to turn around that theme of just focusing on what we went through, but rather looking forward at what we can be doing moving forward. And the quote here from his name is Tom Herc, motivational speaker. I think when we return to school and begin the COVID recovery phase, we ought to have a wild celebration to welcome back every student and every colleague. I want the lingering memory of this time to be the awesome return and not the unfortunate departure. And that's what we're going to be trying to focus on, that awesome return, to see the kids back in the classroom all together, all at once. And that's going to be our charge as we move forward.
Great, thank you, Superintendent Grantino. I would like to turn it over to members of the committee for comment. I'm going to start with Ms. Boyd.
I just have a couple of questions. Just the one question, I just haven't heard it explicitly stated yet, but will the school day start times and end times be returning to pre-pandemic?
Yes.
And including lunch being served as well? I mentioned that, but I'm just hoping.
Yes, I apologize. Some of the more, and that's not a basic element, but that's something that I was thinking about. But yes, we are back to the normal start times. We're back to everyone getting their lunch at the same times within the same structure. So that is back to pre-COVID. And we'll be sending out information, obviously, tomorrow and the next day. And you've been getting some information from your schools, but obviously waiting upon the final determination from the state is in vacuums. But yeah, that sense of normalcy is back in place. Yeah.
And then, as far as the quarantine goes, so unvaccinated students, if contact traced, will not have to quarantine.
Can I stop you for 1 second? Can you guys hear her? Yes? Okay, great, thank you.
So unvaccinated students who are contact traced do not have to quarantine. And then I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
Vaccinated.
Vaccinated students who are contact traced do not have to quarantine. Unvaccinated students, if they are contact traced and have been less than 3 feet apart, will have to quarantine.
If they're 3 feet apart and masked, they're not going to have to quarantine.
But they have to be 3 feet apart.
Right.
That's the point I'm trying to clarify. That's it. Thank you.
Mr. Greer?
Yeah, so my head's filled with acronyms. We got DESI, BESI, DPH, and mine back to them is WTF, right? So I can't say this without insulting some group, but all of this defies the science that I know. I work in life sciences. I work specifically in vaccines. I won't get into that too much, but I'm losing IQ points listening every time I hear the state say something. But I guess now, if it's out of our hands, it's out of our hands. But one of the questions I have, I'll start here. Is contact tracing a funded mandate?
So I would say, I know we've had this conversation before, but it's an important one. And it is, we don't get a line item in our budget, or I don't think when the money's come to us from the state that they're saying X amount is going to contact tracing. But what we have been able to secure, and Tom's been managing it for the last 18 months, 3 different pretty sizable grants from the federal government, the ESSER grants with ESSER 1 and ESSER 2. Now we're utilizing ESSER $3, which are close to $2.7 million. We've received about $4 million total in the last 18 months to go towards COVID costs. So if there's extra monies that had to be spent on contact tracing, whether it's our nurses having to work into the evening or over the weekend, we're able to use some of those dollars to offset
that. My computer died, and I'm not on Zoom, so I'm going to borrow Bridget's. Okay, so I'm going to show up as Bridget.
Okay.
All right, so you say we have this funding, right? So which fiscal year is the funding, and can we roll it over into subsequent fiscal years?
I'm sorry, one more time.
So we have, you said we have funding, we've secured funding, right? Can that roll over into fiscal years down the road?
Mr. Miller, are you able to answer that question?
I'm concerned about getting.
Okay.
Yeah, repeat that, sorry.
So I just want to know, can ESSER money be rolled over beyond?
That was probably not what you expect.
Yeah, the ESSER 3 is good through October of 24. So it's almost essentially a 3-year grant.
All right.
And that's the 2.8, approximately 2.7, 2.8 million. The other 2 grants are good through this fiscal year. We've already spent the first one, which was around 300,000. The second ESSER grant, which is about 1.3 million, is good through this fiscal year, but we've already allocated that as well. So what we have now is the ESSER 3, and we're slowly utilizing that to get started for this school year. The grant hasn't been officially approved yet, but it will be soon. So we'll go from there. But we can hold those funds for up to through October of 24.
Okay. So that covers that. The contact tracing, I mean, the big thing for me here is I can't get too much into the science of the vaccine, but the kids that have already had COVID, it just defies all logic that they're not lumped in with the vaccinated kids, right? So, I mean,
if you've had COVID though within the last 90 days, you don't have to be contact traced.
Okay, so if you've, so that doesn't apply to vaccinated kids, right?
Vaccinated students will not have to close contact, just like vaccinated adults won't have to.
Okay, so if you've had the vaccine, how long before you have to be contact traced? Is it still 90 days also?
You wouldn't be contact traced. If you've had the vaccine, you're not.
Okay, then yeah, that's just dumb. That kind of baffles me, and it's not directed at
No,
it's directed at.
I don't make that rule, but I get it.
The people I didn't vote for that are in Desi. Okay, so, yeah, I just, like I said, I'm losing IQ points listening to all this stuff. I know, whether people are for masks or against masks, I don't want the state dictating what we have to do and don't have to do. That's parent choice. And no offense to anybody here, but I don't want any of you telling me how I can deal with my kids if I want them to wear a mask or not wear a mask. No, like I said, no offense.
Especially
right across here.
That sounds creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Brook. Mr. Costello.
Okay, I'm going to mute myself here. First of all, I appreciate the presentation, Mr. Granatino, especially where the information that's been coming in over the last week has been obviously ever-changing. And, last Friday, after speaking with a whole lot of parents and a whole lot of people in the community, the decision was kind of taken out from under us, and made by the state. So appreciate you clarifying all of that. I appreciate you clarifying the concerns of folks who don't know whether or not we're ready for the school year. Clearly we are. Clearly you and your team are very much ready for that. I do have a question. Do we know the percentage of people in Marshfield under a certain age category that are vaccinated at this point, since the state has set that 80% threshold for October?
The numbers have been changing, and I apologize if one of the other things I was getting together today, I had those numbers for the 0 to 12, not 0 to 12, but from 12 to 19. The numbers have been increasing. We have a pretty sizable number of vaccinated at the high school level. Those are 16 to 19. Obviously 12 to 16 is a little less. I want to say, and I'm going to misquote it, so I apologize. I had this out and I actually sent it out to you guys the other day, and it was somewhere in the vicinity of I think around the 60s for the high school age children, and probably around 35 to 40ish for the middle school. On Thursdays, if you guys haven't seen that, when the numbers come out from the state every Thursday night, they have a nice breakdown of all the vaccinated, so you can get an idea of where we're at there.
Okay, awesome.
And I'll get that correct number when I send out information. I'll let folks know where we stand on that.
Sure.
I'm just kind of estimating.
Yeah, awesome, thank you. I do just want to make a quick comment too, and kind of reiterate, it's imperative to a local government to have an open line of communication with the people that the four of us here in Kenner are elected to represent. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. It's something that my boss always says, because you're supposed to listen before you talk. So I appreciate all of you who have reached out, whether you're here, whether you're on Zoom, whether you're watching somewhere at home. Appreciate all of you reaching out to us to share your thoughts. There's really nothing good about the pandemic, but one thing that I'm going to try and take away as a positive is that it's encouraged people to get more actively involved with public education here in Marshfield. So very much appreciate all of that. And I appreciate the respectful exchange of ideas, no matter where you stand on an issue like this. Folks here tonight, by and large, were incredibly respectful, no matter how you felt on the issue. But I do just have to point out something, and I apologize. In 6+ years on this committee, I've never really felt fit, and still don't, to offer any sort of lecture or anything like that. But we know that this is this viral disease that we're talking about is COVID-19. It's the coronavirus. It is not the China virus. And to stand here in a public meeting where there are children present and in a community with a small but growing diverse population and call it twice the China virus at this point is just willfully ignorant. We understand the impact that kind of speech can have on society, and in defense of my community, we're better than that. I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Costello. Ms. Campbell, we're going to unmute you.
Yes.
I've been here. You guys hear me okay before I keep going?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just on behalf of the folks that are on Zoom, it was a little tricky to hear some of the public comment, but we've all kind of been on here. I guess I just have one question and then a comment. I did just want to kind of echo the sentiments of a lot of you that have already spoken and say thank you to the 400+ parents and community members that have reached out to us by email or phone call or in the grocery store or wherever you see us sort of out and about. In particular, those parents that shared, regardless of sort of where they felt on the issue of masking, the parents that shared very deeply personal, stories that impacted their children. Thank you for trusting us with those stories and for sharing those with us. That does not go unnoticed and unappreciated. In particular, I think by those of us on the board that are, in fact, parents. There is nothing more important to me than my own children's health and happiness and safety, and I know that all of you feel the exact same way. That being said, I do hope that as this, situation is sort of, this Jesse is kind of coming through and telling us what we are to do, I hope that everyone, regardless of how you feel towards masks, now we can all come together and put all of our energy towards our children and our students and encouraging them and supporting them and getting them excited to return to school. Again, whichever way you kind of lie on this issue, I think that, at least in my mind, is sort of the most important thing now, is making sure that our students and our staff and everyone is supported and safe and happy and healthy and excited to start the new year. My only question, Mr. Granatino, and I think my audio kind of cut out a little bit, you spoke a little bit about testing options that would be happening potentially at school. And just to clarify, those are things that parents give consent for, correct?
Sorry, 1 second. Okay, Tanya, can you hear me? Okay, yes, that is, all consent is needed by the parents. If they choose not to want to have their children tested, that is very much in their lap.
Okay, thank you.
No, we have to get permission. Anyone under 18 would have to get parental permission before we do test.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Kendra. Okay, so I have a lot to say about this. I have really mixed feelings about this whole thing. As we sit up here and try to make these decisions for other people's children, I will refer to Mr. Greer saying he doesn't want, people making decisions for his kids, and it's a really tough job, and I think that's one of the things that I struggle with the most as a part of this committee is making decisions for other people's kids. I know, as a parent, how passionate I am about doing what's right by my boys, and we really do strive to do what's right for all of your children as well, and included the people that work here. I mean, we really do care about the staff, we care about the kids, we care about everything, and we care about their education the most and whole child wellness. This group is very committed to mental health and emotional health of our students, and we've been working more towards that for the past year, I would say. We've made considerable changes and additions to, I wouldn't say the curriculum, but I guess the curriculum, right? The things that we're gonna do. So, there's definitely holes in this plan from DESE, and when I look at something like this, I try to make sense of it, and if it doesn't make sense to me, I have a really hard time. And just here when I'm listening to you speak, and this is nothing towards you, Mr. Granatino, but DESE is saying that you can be on a bus with the windows down and a mask, and then you don't have to, whatever it is. But then, why can't we put the windows down in the classroom? There's so many holes in the plan, and I'm hoping that when they come forward, tomorrow or the day after, I'm hoping that there is a more solid plan, and there's some more details in there that can kind of answer these questions that I have. Someone in public comment, said that we're not fighting for your kids, or we're not, I forget the exact words, but that couldn't be further than the truth. I can't tell you guys how many hours, I'm not gonna speak for anybody else, but personally, I've been on the phone with our state representatives and the governor's office and our state senator, and I am fighting for your kids. And I do care about them. And I know that I can't always talk to each one of you all the time,
But I am trying to answer your emails, and I'd love to meet each and every one of you and have a conversation, so please, reach out anytime. I just want you guys to know that we're not on this committee for the glory. We're here because we care about you and we care about your families. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind, and please reach out to us anytime. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to come forth with some more solid information for you really soon. Thank you very much. So we will now move on to our old business, which is the Regional Planning Committee for South Shore Tech. Mr. Granatino?
So we've had a few discussions, not in-depth discussions with the so we've talked about.
Sure. Can we take a 2-minute recess? Is that good? Yeah, we're going to take a 2-minute recess. Thank you very much. Do some jumping jacks. Sure, if I can get it off.
The school committee members.
Thanks a lot, Andy.
From our recess? Okay. Okay. All right, we're returning from our recess. Here we go.
Okay, I will be brief here.
Good night, Ed.
So we spent some time talking in June and July about looking into what it would take for us to join South Shore Vocational Technical School. And it's a fairly lengthy process, but we've had some conversations with Superintendent Hickey. And one of the first things that we have to do is have this board and the Board of Selectmen vote to create this working committee, regional planning committee. It's a small 3-person committee. One of the members has to be a member from the school committee, and believe it or not, it can be a vote of these 2 committees, or it can be a vote of town meeting. I'm trying to speed up the process and not wait until town meeting. So if we get the 2 boards to vote it, we can get that working forward. And what it really is going to entail, that's going to be the working group. That's going to probably have to bring some other folks in and look at the costs and what it's going to mean to the district. Because once you join a regional school district, it's not just okay, we get to go to the district now, we pay a fee. There's certain things, if they want to go and build a new building at South Shore Vocational, each of the member districts are the ones that pay for it. It's not just, they don't have a magic sum of money. So it's coming from Cohasset, from Situate, from Hanover, from Rockland, from Whitman. And if we were a member of it, a portion of it would be coming from us. So over a period of time before we present to our town meeting, most likely in the spring of 2022, we have to have all that information so we can let folks know if we do this, this is how it's going to impact the town of Marshfield. Now, as we're doing this, and if we were to go forward with it and it makes sense and the town was to support it, we also have to get 2/3 of the member schools to do the same thing. So each of their town meetings will have to have it. So this is the early stage, but it's a working group that needs to happen by statute. So we just need a simple vote of the committee to create a regional planning committee to explore entry into the South Shore Vocational Technical High School.
We need to unmute camera, right?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. Sure. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstain? She's voting yes. She had her hand up. She said yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
So I will present this information to Mr. Moresco on the next day or two. I'll try to get it on one of the upcoming agendas for the school, for the board of selectmen.
Great.
Do the same. Okay?
Awesome. Great. Thank you very much. And it looks like we have one more item on here just to approve the minutes from July 20th, 2021.
A motion to approve the minutes from the July 20, 2021 meeting.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? Kendra? She's muted. She's raising her hand. I take that as a yes. Yes. Kendra is a yes. Thank you very much. Oh, perfect. Okay, thank you. Yep. Wow, we have to vote on that. Do I have to announce that now?
Motion adjourned.
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, roll call vote, please, Mrs. Pazerski.
Mr. Greer?
Yes.
Ms. Boyd?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mrs. Brady?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
She said yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gang. Thank you very much. Thank you for those that stayed to the end, too.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you.